Hello and welcome to the Crackpot podcast with James LaFond and Lynn Lockhart. This is the first episode presented in 4 parts. We taped this episode on June 15th and we hope you enjoy it. Here's part 4.
The 4 years that I spent as a grocery store manager, cops were predominantly my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was one cop that gave me a hard time about something he thought that one of my clerks had mugged this old lady in the store, and she was nuts. She had something going on with her mind that wasn't right. I had 2 cops threatening to beat me up because I wouldn't let them in after hours. Now, the drug dealers, I had a drug dealer stand there with a knot roll of money. Yeah, I mean, this guy's got $20 bills thicker than his fist. And he's offering me hundreds of dollars for a gallon of milk. It was crazy. It's Christmas Eve. Every loser in Northeast Baltimore told his baby's mama that he'd come home with the milk or the tasty cakes or the ho-hos, whatever it was, and stays at the bar or stays in the alley shooting dice for too long and tries to get into the supermarket as it's closing. And I'm there with my security guy, and we're turning away hundreds of guys. Some of them are threatening to beat us up. Most of them are drunk. The drug dealers try to buy their way in. I'm like, dude, I can't let that happen because then what about all these other people?
Yeah.
And he doesn't even conceptualize that. He's like, well, what about them? They don't have enough money to get in, so don't let them in. But he's actually trying to rewrite the rule book. Well, then after the crowds clear out, cops start coming up. I guess they stay at the bar even longer. And these 2 cops threatened me at different points. And the one guy told me, he said, if I ever catch you on the street, you're going down. I will beat your ass and I will arrest you. There were 3 cops that were in there when my co-manager was running the store. We basically had the same. I was a general manager. He was the money guy, but he was in charge of the front end of the money, and he would not okay a check. This cop, the Baltimore City cop, he was a detective, and he had his 2 detective buddies there with him, had a woman's checkbook who he claimed was his girlfriend, and he wanted to write a check from his checkbook. And Duz said, no, not happening on my watch. I used to box this guy, Polish guy, head like a brick. Just fell 2 stories on the concrete and got up. He fell off the warehouse rocks.
Oh, I just read that. Yeah. I think it might have been in Alienation Nation, maybe?
Oh, I don't know. This is the dude
where he got run down by the 2 poorly planned.
They hit his Polish posterior with a Buick and wrecked the Buick. And he was down at the gym lifting weights
later that day.
Telling me about it. I'm like, you serious? He would glue me together. But he's a super tough guy. And I used to pray he'd duck when I would box with him because it hurt so bad just to hit him. It was like hitting concrete or something. He tells them no, and they leave. They research him. They know that he goes down to the Bel Air Road pub after work for a couple of beers, and then he gets in his pink 54 Cadillac with the big fins that he used to use to pick up black chicks. And this guy was blonde. Okay. Yeah. It's like Billy Idol on steroids in a pink 54 Cadillac picking up black chicks in Baltimore. That's what he used to do.
Did he really need the Cadillac? Don't you think he could have had pretty good results? Maybe he just liked it.
He did much better when he had the Cadillac.
They like Cadillac. I've heard that. That's a stereotype. Even I've heard that.
We stopped at Big Ben Witten's joint one time. We get out and they see me, long-haired guy, skinny guy. They figure I'm a doper, and they start conducting this auction. Who's going to sell me what for how much? And they're shoving each other out of the way because these decent black bars, they don't let guys under 35 in. and frisk you at the door. So there's a gang of these young guys outside of the place trying to sell drugs to people coming and going. And these guys are all starting to crowd around me. And Des walks out in front of me, and he holds his hands out in front of him like he's controlling this crowd. And he says, "We're here for your women." They step back, and then we walk in. They all thought that he was some kind of federal cop. Even after he hired a couple of them, they're like, "Oh, the story's just a front. You fed zone everything. That's just a front. You're doing your DEA stuff." So he could never talk him out of it. So he just played it up. He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Well, so Mr. 50's down at the Bel Air Road Pub. It's a little bar where you can fit like a dozen guys, and these 3 cops come in, and they start giving him drinks. From 5 o'clock in the afternoon. No, hell, he got off at 3:30. So this is like 4 o'clock in the afternoon until 2 in the morning. He's drinking beer that they're buying.
Oh my God.
And then he finally walks out, and he's got his keys out, and they're walking out behind him. They haven't hardly drank anything. And he just smiles at him and turns around. And he says, "I think I'm walking home. I don't think I'm getting And, he told me he had this dog, this insane dog, half boxer, half pit bull named Chico. The thing used to eat carpet. It ate footballs. It ate cats. I saw it grab a pigeon.
Did it ever eat a child?
No, but it did definitely eat these 2 cats. Okay, it used to tease at the next door neighbor
I call
cats.
those baby eaters.
This thing jumped like 8 feet in the air and grabbed a pigeon. And he was swatting the tail feathers by the time he hit the ground. Okay. And Chico was a nut. And he was really the stupidest dog I ever met. And that dog had the run of the house. Does live by himself, and I think it was like an 18-room house. It was his parents' old house.
Oh, wow.
I had my own little wing in a house. Whenever I had a girl come in from out of state to visit me, where I could take her to his place, because he had a hot tub and everything. And, I asked him what he had done, and he said, "Look, I was just going to open the door. I say hi to Chico before I get in the door. If I ever don't say hi to Chico and the door just opens, he's not going to eat me. He's going to eat what's behind me." So that's a really scary cop situation. I know a guy that became a cop because he saw a cop robbing a hardware store on his way to work. And I asked him, "Why do you want a job like that?" He said, "So I could beat up black guys and get paid for it." So, it made me feel real good. I'm walking through a black neighborhood at night to get to work, and, I have guys like this that want to don a uniform and get a nightstick and go out and just beat up black guys because they're black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is now. It's going back on now, but for all those years, it blew back on me.
Right.
So it helps if you're like a grungy, long-haired guy. When you're living in a city situation like that, because the black dudes know that the cops are kicking your ass too.
That's right. Yeah.
That's why Mark take me to these bars, because the bartenders generally would not serve him because they thought he was. But the bouncers loved him, so he'd get in because the bouncers wanted him there. But then he couldn't get served unless he had somebody with him. And like the black bartenders, for the most part, they'll dress up. They'll wear tuxedos and everything.
Really?
It's not just some curmudgeon-y white guy cracking jokes or snarling at you or whatever. They take it as a real art.
Wow. I would be so curious to see, but I don't think I ever will.
Okay, well, that's good. It's not recommended.
No.
I will be going to a bar with Big Ron. I'll be meeting him in 2 hours and 20 minutes. I'll be meeting him at the Shamrock. And, he's going to regale me with more tales of his life. I think we're going to get into some of the pizza delivery stuff today.
So you're still gathering material then?
I've got, I think, 30 stories still outlined. And he just popped another one off for me the other day. We were training. And, I asked him about that. He sent me this email about seeing a dog fight on Hillman and Perring Parkway.
Yeah.
Which, was it's not a real ghetto place. This is a lower middle class neighborhood. Nice, decent brownstone houses, and hardly any vacants or anything. So these are people that are paying their bills. These aren't a bunch of scumbags in the yard of some vacant house. And then he told me, he said, yeah, I don't like the dogfighting stuff. I used to see that when I lived in Southwest Baltimore. So now I get to ask him about what it's like being at a dogfight, because I've only seen dogfights from the window of a bus when I was going by the Northeastern District precinct, because at 5:30, the cops and the judges and the bailiffs, they all clear out of the Northeastern District courthouse. And then the brothers open up the dogfighting venue right across the street at the auto garage, where they chop up stolen cars.
And that's where all the law enforcement officials head over for their...
Across the street. As soon as they shut down for the day, the guys that are dicing up cars illegally, they open up the dogfighting venue.
Did you read the Mike Costigan stories from of Robert E. Howard?
I've read 2 Costigan stories, and they weren't Costigan stories. The one was the Iron Man, where he was burning.
Yeah.
And the other one was, I think, Castaneto's last song.
Oh,
like a 5-page horror story about some serial killer opera singer that puts himself inside of a record.
Ooh.
And, Costigan's the, meat-headed friend of the scientist is trying to delve into this mystery, and he solves the whole thing just by taking his fist and smashing the record player.
I love those plot devices, because, I think, oh, this is such a weird thing you're going to have to explain, and, how are you going to get out of this jam? And, oh, no, we're just going to crush it. Just, it'll work out. I love it.
Robert E. Howard's great.
Yeah. Well, it's actually Steve Costigan now that I'm thinking, and he has a dog called Mike, and there is one story where the enemy captures Mike for a dog fight, and it's a good one.
Oh, I'll have to get to that.
Yeah.
For this volume that I'm working on this year, I'm probably going to only do one story of his, because I'm trying to finish up Solomon Kane, King Cole, and Brand McMorrin. Yeah,
there's so much.
I think I'm about the halfway point with this content.
Wow.
But yeah, it's been a lot. It's already, I don't know, 700 pages published. Just this material. I think it's 166 stories and fragments, but a couple of them are novels or novellas. So it's an amount of material.
Well, James, I think that I'm going to go ahead and wrap up episode 1 of the James LaFond podcast right now. Starring James LaFond.
I hope I didn't mumble too much.
I don't think so. Thank you for listening to part 4 of episode 1 of the Crackpot podcast with James LaFond and Lynn Lockhart.